Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the low budget LCS. My name is Les Force, one quarter of the booth. Joined with me is everyone's favorite host of said show, Jackie Boy. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing just fine, thank you. I am also one quarter of the booth, so it's nice that we've got one quarter plus one quarter, which is like at least a third or something like that.
I am not too good at math, but I think that all checks out. Of course, don't have the full squad here tonight. Maybe we get another booth cast sometime this season, but for now, the chat's just gonna have to settle for us, which is not the worst consolation prize, right?
No, yeah, no, I can think of worse consolation prizes for sure.
Yeah. And these guys are getting us into the draft. It seems like they're just about ready for drafts. We can actually switch us over to this screen, get the little draft link updated here. You can just ignore the one that pops up at first. Okay, and unlike the last stream I did, no Twitch pop-ups. So we're already off to a strong start here. We've got some Economy League action tonight. We've got NG Outlaws, of course, Sammy Two Slap's team, taking on FE Aero. Taking a look at the standings as we kind of wait for them to get started for draft here. NG Outlaws kind of find themselves in that last playoff spot right now. They're in the 12 spot, so they are kind of hanging on by a tiebreaker, I think, over only Krugs. So this is kind of not a must-win, but it is a very important game for Sammy Two Slap and company. Whereas FE Aero, they're currently sitting pretty 3-2 in that 8 spot, so they find themselves in a good spot for playoffs. But you definitely want to build in that cushion where you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where you either want to, like, it's a high-stakes match, and we're sort of heading into the sort of finale of the season here, and as the season sort of winds down, it's just teams looking to either solidify that lead or sort of try to poke themselves up into the playoff spot to try to keep their season going.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking a look, a lot of familiar names on both sides here, for blue side or for red side rather, FE Aero. They've got Wildstar, who I know has played in the LBLCS for quite a while. You've got Kagrin, who I believe was a former Naughty player. Time to Clown, Spartan Mason. There's a lot of recognizable names on that side. And then again, we already kind of talked about blue a little bit. Sammy Two Slap, Blackout. I think played for Old Man Land maybe the last couple seasons. Lil Dell. They've got some recognizable players on both sides, and it sounds like they are ready for draft. So I will just let them know that we are. And yeah, we should be here into draft right now. Don't have a ton of context as to things that we might be seeing come out here. I mean, again, what I do know is that Sammy loves engaged supports. Set can be taken off the table. From what I remember, Wildstar in the top lane plays things like the Gwen. I do think they have the set in the bag, so that is an early ban. Caitlyn can be taken away. Udyr, full clear Menace in the jungle, going to be taken off the table.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the engaged supports here too, and wow, I mean, just look at this beautiful draft tool that we have. Let's force what draft site is this?
It's funny you mention that. This is actually homemade here at the Low Budget LCS. Our wonderful dev team members, I believe specifically, shout out to the Ducky Lord and Ruffian, I think had a ton to do with this being created. We've all seen the draft lull not work half the time. Pro draft is hideous. And good luck if you've ever had to go to apexesports.org to run draft.
Ooh.
So this is a very pretty website. I don't think you can see in the spectator client, but there are some very fun little Easter eggs that are built into the draft tool. When you ban Garen, something fun happens. When you ban Zach, something fun happens. I don't want to spoil them. As Urgot can be taken off the table here, and we'll see what the Outlaws looking to first pick here.
Yeah, with the first pick, like you really want something that's either like just super strong, and not have to worry about it, or you can lock something like Jinx, which is just sort of always going to be good in a front to back spot, and you just have so many options in terms of flexibility as you go down the line. She can either be played up with enchanters, or you can sort of go the sort of Thresh or Warden route with like Thresh Taric, TK, and that kind of stuff. So a really good blue one here from the Outlaws, and we'll see how FE Aero chooses to respond.
Yeah, it's gonna be picking up the Maokai, it looks like. Very flexible, can go jungle, can go top, can go support. Two champions that I never feel bad seeing in a comp game. A lot of utility on the Maokai with the R, with so many ways to CC. I'm assuming we probably see an 80 picked up here in response. They actually banned the Caitlyn, which is a pretty good answer into the Jinx, so I'm curious if they got something else that can try to maybe bully this Jinx for Lil Del just a little bit in the early game, because late game, Jinx gets one reset, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be the Xayah matched up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I mean, like, so Caitlyn and Ashe are the two things that are banned out here, which are the two things that can really contest Jinx's range, especially with rockets. Or you can opt for like something like Jhin, or you can choose to match the scaling with Xayah. And now NG Outlaws is saying, okay, well, do we want to take away the Rakan pick, which is a really good pick on 3 here, or do we want which Rakan does fine with Jinx, or do we want to prioritize a different pick with Jinx, such as Thresh? Which I mean, I'm a big fan of the Thresh, so I have no qualms about this getting locked in here.
Sammy 2Slap is a big fan of the hookers, not Thresh, Blitzcrank. So no surprise there. It pairs pretty well with Jinx. And the Volibear currently going to be the hover on that 3rd pick, and it is going to be picked up pretty quickly. Now, this is a flex. Top lane, it's pretty strong. Personally, I think it's a lot better in the jungle. I've been definitely playing a lot of Volibear the past month or so. It is super, super strong. So I like what we've got going on NG Outlaws side. They've got the cool hues here so far.
Indeed, they do have the cool hues, and we'll see if they continue that trend on down the line as the red 3 pick comes in for Aero before we head into the second stages of the bans here, and it's going to end up being the Leona, which I'm gonna lie, I don't love this. I don't love this pick. I think it's hard to get on top of the Jinx with the Thresh. I think. Rakan is also a little bit hard, but Leona is way easier to flay than Rakan. Rakan's you have to sort of do it a bit preemptively, whereas Leona you can do pretty reactively. So I'm not a massive fan of this. However, Leona is good into these immobile AD carries that don't necessarily have another way to get out of her ult, which is a really good tool for catching here. And then Aero continues on banning out the mobile mid laners here with an Ahri. And we'll see what the bans come in for NG Outlaws here. We'll see what they sort of try to do, which lanes they try to protect.
Yeah, something's telling me, I mean, definitely in that lane, the Leona is not going to have the best time. It is kind of like a self-counter pick. So maybe this is a spot where we're going to see the support roaming around the map, try and make things happen, mid lane or top lane with their Maokai jungle. And they kind of just leave Xayah, for better or worse, to their own devices in the bot lane. I mean, should be relatively safe into a Jinx, especially if like Thresh starts to follow the Leona around the map. Olaf going to be taken off the table. Pretty good pick when there's, low damage, high CC on your team. You definitely want to take Olaf off the table. And our last ban going to be the Malphite.
Yeah. The Malphite would just be like another really good option to catch the Jinx. Just like you sort of like hover over her and then you push your button, and it's sort of really easy to chain CC that with the Leona no matter how close Thresh is. Like, you just can't stop those two things. So we'll see what they end up doing here. The Maokai, I think they can still sort of keep the flex. I think they probably look to they just pick mid lane here. Fair enough.
Yep, I mean, that definitely keeps that flex still up for the Maokai. Could go top, could go jungle. Probably was never going to go mid. Although I feel like I have seen Linoleum play Maokai mid at one point in the LCS.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a Linoleum pick for sure. Annie, another really good point click CC. They have a lot of ways to CC, but we're probably going to need to see like a pretty heavy damage come out here on 5, whether it is going to be top or jungle. They will have the full cards in front of them. They're going to see where this Volibear is going. Is it going top? Is it going jungle? And then they can pick accordingly. Hui going to be the answer into Annie, and that sounds pretty good for Hui. Annie relatively not the strongest early game. Hui should, I feel like, as long as they avoid the flash stun, should be chilling. And it's going to be, the suspense is killing me.
I know. I can't wait.
It's going to be a Gnar. It's going to be a Gnar, which means this volley is heading jungle. That does ruin our cool hues, though.
It does indeed ruin the cool hues. I think Hui is also going to have a bit of a hard time here as an immobile control mage into the Leona, into the Annie, into the Maokai. So whereas like Xayah has a ton of self peel and Annie tends to build a little bit more bruisery anyway, and has the stuns and such, Hui doesn't have as much of that. And then the Ambessa comes in as an answer to the Gnar, which locks our Maokai into the jungle.
Yeah, Mbessa Nar. Feel like there's a lot of potential kill threat there for Mbessa, especially when Nar's in that mini form. Gonna have to see if the counter pick works out. Obviously you put all the eggs in that R5 counter pick for your top laner. Um, Looking at these comps as I start the predictions here for all of you degenerate gamblers in the chat. What are you kind of seeing here?
I think I prefer the 5v5 from the red side here from FE Aero. And I think that they have a pretty good split push as well. I think the teams are sort of like pretty well matched. Both have a very standard front back, with the option to either full 5-man ARAM mid or to go 4-1 and send their top laners into a side lane, to try to cause a little bit of mayhem here. I'm not familiar enough with the Ambessa Gnar matchup to know exactly how that goes. Perhaps we have some chatters who are willing to share their top lane knowledge with us about how that lane matchup plays out over the course of the game, to see, like, does Gnar have the edge in the split push? Does Ambessa have the edge in the split push? Something like that. So it's gonna end up being pretty interesting here. I think there's a lot riding on Sammy's shoulders here, in order to be able to provide as maximum possible peel as he can. The problem is that, Gnar Volley, they both want to walk forwards. They both want to sort of be playing that, slam game, but Jinx and Hui are both going to need some support here from the Maokai, from the Leona, from the Annie, and then also from the Ambessa as well. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Maybe a Guardian build comes out from Sammy here.
Yeah, I mean, my eyes are always going to kind of be drawn to a Jinx. When that's in the game, you hit that one reset, it turns into 5 resets right away, as it looks like a little bit of split comms here on the side of FE Aero. Yep. at the same time. One of them says 1 moment, the other says our game. We'll see which one that is. But, if Jinx can get the peel from Sammy, potentially from Hui. Hui does have, kind of some peel capabilities in their kit. Even like the Gnar could use their R kind of defensively. If you can get that Jinx reset, it'll be really good. As it does look like they are ready. I'll just told them we'll always be ready, but we'll just do another one just in case. And we are gonna get this one started up here. I do think the early advantage is on red side, but I want to see Leona and Maokai. I want to see them link up around the map. I want to see them make plays to get this Mbessa ahead. I want to see them maybe get this Annie ahead. Hui is definitely gankable, and if Annie's able to kind of get ahead, there's no peel that's going to save you from a flash Tivers, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm looking out for. It looks like the early gambling is in favor of red side. Again, FE Aero is technically the favorite in terms of the standings here. 3-2, or 8th in the standings versus 12. Not a massive difference, but a difference is a difference. And look, I'm just looking at who is betting, and I see Wisdom supporting their org, NG Outlaws on the blue side, and then Salman, believe the captain of Team Popo, is currently our leading bettor on red side.
Yes, Salman, who has put my playoff dreams in the dirt several times, but I don't necessarily hold it against him. You got to do what you got to do. It's just the way the cookie crumbles here. So we're headed into the first game for our best of 3 series here. You said the Outlaws are sort of the underdogs in this scenario, although not by a tremendous amount. And especially, in these leagues with like 8 to 24 or 16 to 24 teams, just a little difference could end up making being the make or break between playoffs or no playoffs. So we'll end up seeing in Salman saying it's just business. Indeed, my friend, it is. It's business on the Rift, but afterwards, Angry Orchards ? I think that the ease of execution is a little bit better for the side of FE Aero here. If either Leona or Annie or Maokai, and to a certain extent even like the Xayah route, like if any one of those CC things lands, it's going to be so easy for the remainder of the CC to get right on top of it. Whereas the side of NG Outlaws, they have a little bit more of a sort of flexible, responsive draft that I think probably has a bit of a higher ceiling, but a bit of a higher floor as well.
Yeah, to answer Wiki's question in the chat, essentially, in order for the LBLCS to get the stats from these games, they have to use tournament codes, and the tournament codes are automatically in the tournament draft format. So they do have to go through this whole, pick ban phase in order, all that fun stuff. I miss the days where we could just load into a blind pick. Did save a couple of minutes, but you have to give a little to get a little, and in this case, what you get are those stats.
And, just as a reminder, every time somebody asks to have stats updated, I keep Ruffian locked in my basement for one more day. And so since he's the one who updates the stats, Zach M, you sort of preempted me here. So Ruffian, that's another day. It's actually 2 days because there was another person who was asking earlier in the Discord server. So bit of a bummer there for Ruffian. He was really hoping to see the sun. Weather's getting warmer over here on the East Coast, Beast Coast. So we'll see. Maybe one day he'll be able to come out of the basement.
No weekend plans for Ruffian. Of course, hard at work on the dev side of things. Again, stuff like the draft tool. The new ticket system has been a welcome addition. A lot of good stuff here at the LBLCS. Oh, there you go. Wait, now does that count as a double? That's 2 stat requests from the same person. Does that count as like 2 days, or is it just like 1 per person?
The thing is, that's a Panthercore diva right there, and so pretty much anything we say just doesn't really matter anything at all. So it's kind of a bummer, but it's tough. It's tough out here. We have like that new admin Seer or whatever his name is. I'm not sure. But
yeah, I love how that's the monikers. We were both promoted at the same day, but Seer catches all the flack in that regard.
Yeah.
Which I'm a big fan of personally. 2 minutes here on our spectator delay. I'm curious to see if blue side goes for any type of, cheesy invade. I mean, you've got the Thresh, you've got the hook. Could be pretty good. If you catch someone out, maybe get a Jinx, a free reset off the rip. And it wouldn't surprise me knowing Sammy 2 Slap, very devious player. Has been playing Econ for a long, long time. I think they won back in season 12. That was the crackhead Luffy season, as some may call it. And I believe they've also been to finals one other time. So, no stranger to the big moments here. Sammy doesn't want to miss playoffs. They're probably looking to do whatever they can to get themselves into the dance, because all you need is a ticket.
And I mean, Sammy's got a great team of partners along with him in order to make sure that this happens. So we'll see if these people are able to cling on to that playoff spot. I believe they technically are on like just dead on the line here. So if they lose, it's looking very difficult for them. I think they have one more series after this because they're 1-5, and I think it's 7 series in.
Yeah,
no,
I
6,
believe.
isn't it?
I think it's 8 or 7.
8?
I think there's 8 total games. I think there's 8. I think. Either way,
there are people with at least 7. There are people with at least 7 matches played, so maybe there's another one. I don't know, but whatever it is, it's going to be kind of difficult for them to poke back up into the playoffs. So they're really sort of backs against the wall here. If Aero wins this series, that puts them in a really strong position to hold on to their playoff spot and to get some pretty decent seeding there too, to avoid getting milked basically. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to see how this game plays out.
Yeah, and speaking of milked, we've got another one of our booth members in the chat, Oh Hi Vega, saying, "What amazing voices! If only you were here, Vega, you'd be shining." Or what's what I'm looking for? You'd be blowing us out of the water. We'll go with that phrase. As taking a look at our skin game, no skin on the way. Automatically, red side has the upper hand. They've got Maokai. They've got Broken Covenant Xayah. But we've got some good skins on blue side too, particularly the Janitor Thresh for Sammy 2 Slap.
It's a great skin. I love it as sort of gimmicky. And sometimes you just need a little bit of that fun deviousness, as Sammy is wont to do. But yeah, so we'll see how that ends up going. But yeah, one of my favorite skins. I own every single Thresh skin, so because Prestige Thresh recently came back in the.
You had to spend all that mythic essence. Doing our quick little time check. Got 30, 31, 32, 33. Let me know when we are good. 5, 6, 7.
All right, we're good.
8. Perfect, perfect. The count making an appearance. Sammy let him out of the basement. Of course, it's not the full blown count that Popoba has under control, but we are here on the Rift for game number 1. We're seeing pretty standard stuff here. 5 point. They actually sent Volibear mid. So a little bit of a pivot, and we do see a little bit of action here as Chef going to get a stun off onto this way. JT Man and Wildstar fighting up on that top side. They are going to get vision up here in the top lane, so they will know where Blackout looks to start.
Yeah, getting that ward early is going to be so effective for red side, especially for Kagrin and Spartan Mason down in the bot side, to be able to have a sense of what they're going to be able to do. Again, like, I'm not necessarily as familiar with the Mbessa Gnar matchup. It sort of strikes me as one that can be a little bit volatile, where like if Gnar gets like a 15 CS lead and backs and has like an extra component, then it's going to be really difficult for Mbessa. But if Mbessa gets an early like kill because Gnar oversteps just a little bit, then it's really hard for the Gnar to climb back in. So classic top lane matchup there.
Yeah, absolutely. Both jungles actually pathing towards their bot lanes here, so that we're not going to see a ton of early action in the top lane, at least involving other players. Again, top lane, these guys are always going to fight, and so Direct-to-Cam loves for us to watch these fights as the Electrocute taken here by Wildstar, early trade in favor of Mbessa.
Yeah, the Electrocute is a pretty good pivot there away from what I think is a traditionally either like a Grasp or like a Conqueror one, knowing that, you know, especially in lane, you're going to get these more quick trades like we just saw there. Where Grasp is really not going to do much for you. It's going to be hard to get those Grasp procs off, but and the Conqueror will be a little harder to stack up. But
yeah,
like,
right there's another proc, and JT Man almost going to fall here. Flash under the tower by Wildstar, and that is going to be first blood over to this Mbessa just like that.
And Gnar holds Flash there, which is a little bit of a curious move. You know, you can blow Flash for Flash, and then you're in a slightly better position to bring your jungler up, but instead opts for the death TP angle. But yeah, great awareness there from Wildstar to be able to take that fight.
Yeah, I mean, you were just calling it. You know, if this Mbessa is able to pick up an early kill, it could spell tough times for JT Man in that top side. We will see kind of what the adaptation here is. You still have your Flash. You're back to lane, so you're not missing any XP. Mbessa, though, Wildstar TPing back in as well and just going right back in. Bone Plating going to be procced, already taking about near half of their health there. And that is a tough thing to see. I feel like Gnar are going to be spending a lot of time under their tower here.
I kind of take back my curiosity about what happens in the Mbessa Gnar matchup. I'm not curious anymore. I've probably got a pretty good idea of it now. I'm something of a pro at this point. So, yeah, looking a little tough here for the Gnar.
Yeah, we've seen the empirical data, and it is supporting the Mbessa side of this matchup. Volibear's already finished up their clear, whereas Time to Clown is still finishing theirs. Flash in from Sammy, forces out the flash from Kagan as well. Support for ADC, you will take that every time, but now Blackout gets rooted up here by Leona into the Zenith Blade. Has to run this one out. Traps are going to be dropped here, but that does mean that Time to Clown has advantage here on this scuttle. And now Volley, they're going to have to make a decision. Do they try to run up to this top scuttle, or do they just get their reset off?
Yeah, I mean, good look from Time to Clown there, using the prio from the mid lane, from the bot lane in order to sort of edge Blackout out.
Oh, Sammy needs to look for a hook. Not going to be able to get it to connect. And now Flash in from Time to Clown onto this way. Going to be able to get some damage off, but so healthy that there's not actually any follow-up from the Annie. Like the look, though, just keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, indeed, and then ends up getting prio here for this upper scuttle, so ends up getting the double scuttle. This is a great start here for the side of FE Aero.
Yeah, especially, again, as someone who's been spamming this Volibear, you want to try and get as much early farm as you can, and losing that double scuttle definitely puts you kind of behind the 8-ball a little bit. I'm expecting that we see Volley go this kind of, this pseudo, the goofy build, right? You know, it's like the Cosmic Drive or the Rod of Ages into a Navori, into full tank. You kind of just get a little bit of everything. Master of none, Jack of all trades. That's what I'm expecting to come out here, but you need gold to make that work, as Wildstar going to dash in onto this Gnar, not going to be able to hit up the Q2, I believe it is. And now
tower shot.
It back a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I like my thing about those sort of more damage or sort of jack of all trades style builds, especially for champs like Volibear, is that if you're not ahead, opting away from tank is so risky, and I mean, I've just never really seen it pay off particularly well. Like, sure, you're able to do damage, but you just get blown up before you're able to actually get that damage down if you're not able to sort of get ahead with an early farm lead or an early kill or a couple of assists there. So it ends up making you less useful than you would be if you
and that's going to be an R in there from the Mbessa. Going in under the tower is going to be able to pick up the kill. It should be traded back. So Gnar is able to pick up a trade kill, but that is now 2 kills over to this Mbessa, and that wave looks like it's actually kind of going to be in an okay spot for blue side. We see Maokai up at these grubs, whereas Blackout just going to be able to take this first dragon. Nice little handshake of the early objectives.
Yeah, and getting that handshake off is probably best case scenario for the side of the Outlaws here. Just like if you've sort of lost the prio early, especially in mid and top lane, then you sort of know that you're going to lose it as we sort of look for some fishing over here, and the hook doesn't quite connect on Spartan Mason there. But trading the objective, not a bad thing. Getting those dragons stacked up so you can start the scaling game a little bit there. You've got the Jinx, you've got the Hui, you know that the scaling is going to be a good option for you guys. It's going to be your win condition for sure, so we'll see what ends up happening here throughout the remainder of this laning phase as the first plates start to go down.
Yeah, and looking on this top side, I mean, Time to Clown knows that there's Volibear started top, as we actually do see a hook into a Zenith Blade from the Leona. Goes in, no tools left. That is going to be a little bit of damage. The cleanse force out of Kagrin, but look, Maokai knew that Volibear started topside, and so just right off the rip, since they were on Dragon, they're going to come in, they're going to steal this blue, and they're going to kind of keep this this CS pressure up about 15 CS on the Maokai. Really good stuff.
Yeah, the Volibear is just absolutely homeless right now. I mean, I don't know where you go next as Volley. He's going to have a nasty surprise when he walks into his topside there and finds no camps left for him to farm.
Yeah, and unfortunately now starting to path up towards this this Gnar and Mbessa lane. Hook comes through from Sammy, is going to hit up onto the Flay as well.
Look.
Going to be matched there though. Sammy 2-slap might be the first to fall here. Feed to Warfare over to red side, and Blackout is down here, but I don't know if there's a continued play. Another trade top, now we're trade mid. Just trades going out everywhere, and that's going to be a massive play. Now we're back to the bot lane. They're trying to pick up a kill here for this Jinx, trying to get that reset up, but that's going to be a massive root, and that's going to be Kager picking up a kill onto Lil Del, traded back over by Blackout onto Leona. No tools left for Blackout. Goes in. Do they have the damage to finish this off? That's going to be the Feather Call come out, and they're going to be able to survive this one. Double kill over to Kagrim. 3 to 5 is our total kill count.
And over in the mid lane, on the other side, Pandorum gets a solo kill over on Executive Chef. This is looking to be quite the exciting series here. If the pressure stays up a little bit, then I'm excited to see what happens as we have a little bit of clowning around up here in the top lane. Time to Clown, just looking to get a good favorable bailout there for Wildstar. But yeah, 3 kills onto the Xayah this early is not exactly what the scaling team wants to see pushed against them. It's going to be a lot harder for them to get the priority on these objectives, get the priority on waves, play the front to back well. It's going to be a bit of an uphill battle here for the Outlaws.
Yeah, the last game that I streamed on Wednesday, I saw a Xayah absolutely take over after getting a couple early kills. So perhaps a bad omen for the side of NG Outlaws, as Blackout is running up here onto this Mbessa. Does have to flash away, but they are going to get hit up by the Q. There's not really a ton left to follow through. Volley does have the R, but you force out the flash, and that does release some of the pressure for JT, man.
Yeah, especially having the flash advantage there in the range versus melee matchup, I think is really valuable, because that way, like, if you do end up misplaying, and we're not seeing the early boots come out from the Gnar, which in my opinion is a bit of a misplay. Like, you really want to be able to keep that auto spacing up, but if you do end up making a bit of a misstep, then it's not as terrible as it otherwise would be, as Executive Chef is just feeling way pain.
Time to Clown flashing in again onto this way, match there with the Twisted Advance into the Tibbers. Can they pick up the kill? No, they cannot, but they are going to force out the flash of the Hui. Maokai keeping the pressure up here, and now just maybe looking to invade on this bot side.
Yeah, I mean, that is a high efficiency Maokai path there, as one flash burned up top lane, one flash burned up mid lane as Blackout seeks the kill.
Blackout is running, and he does have the stun, going to R in over the top, gets stunned up, and Executive Chef is going to be able to walk that one out.
Yeah, just able to sort of plug walk away from that play there. The ult getting burned by Volibear here. You know, not terrible. Dragon up in a minute, and that's going to be something that the Outlaws might want to get a favorable position on in order to keep that dragon stacking going, so that they can try to keep eking out the edge over in the scaling game.
Yeah, and they're actually going to start up the grubs here. With Maokai on this bot side, this should just be a free set of objectives. And if they do try and contest the dragon, that would be the... I don't know which feat it's called. I only know the feats of warfare. The objective feat would be going over to NG Outlaws. Definitely solid pickup here. It does mean the Volibear, again, not able to kind of get those camps. Can't really tell what they're looking to go, as they're kind of just sitting on a Kindle gem. That can go in like 17... different directions. Maybe on this reset we'll get a little bit better of an idea if we are going like that tank build, or if we're going the more goofy build. And with that Aether Wisp, that does mean that they are going to be going the Cosmic Drive first item, and we'll see if we got a little dragon fight here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Kindle Gem abuser myself. I think it's a fantastic little item. Whenever I don't know what I'm gonna buy next, I just buy a Kindle Gem.
Yeah,
I figure it's probably gonna go into whatever I want, so it can't be that bad.
it goes into anything. No, and like no one's ever complained about having like more HP, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it's HP, it's ability haste. You really can't go wrong with a Kindle Gem. It's just a great item. As as Aero takes their first dragon of the game.
Wildstar trading in on a JT Man, gets stunned up against the wall by Mega Gnar. Has to be careful though now, as they're going to be coming out of the Mega Form. Are in on by Wildstar onto the Gnar, dashes under the tower, going to flash away, and that's the advantage of that flash being burned earlier. Pandorum now in a bad spot. Time to Clown hits up the Q. Here with the W, Annie doing so much work here. Twisted Advance picked up there by Executive Chef, and now we got to play in the bot lane. Volibear going to stun up the Leona. Flay not going to be able to connect. Solar Flare onto this Jinx. They're buying so much time here, and Blackout is just getting shredded here. Lil Del able to pick up that kill. Does Sammy have a Flay here coming up? Can they pick up the shutdown? Hook does not connect. It does force out the flash from Kagran though.
Yeah, I mean, just the best play that Kagran and Spartan Mason could have made from that, with a good old Solar Flare from the Leona and a good flash away from Kagran. Keeping that from being too terribly disastrous. You didn't give over the shutdown on the Xayah there, so we keep that going up, and Xayah is able to catch the wave coming into them. However, a little bit of gold over to the Jinx, which is going to be very nice to try to keep that front-back team fight dream alive.
Yeah. Taking a look at our items across the board, we see top laners finishing their first items. We see Wei finishing their first item. I'm assuming Annie does have that Malignant, so we're starting to get to these one-item power spikes. Nothing in the jungle here just yet, as again, Blackout getting that sad realization that Time to Clown being a big meanie in their jungle stealing camps, as JT Man just taking so much damage from the Cyclo Sword and Bessa, but now that... I mean, Ambessa's kind of bursty. Yeah, I mean, they used up all their abilities, and then they got nothing left in the tank. Blackout is fishing. Blackout might be getting caught out. Speaking of getting caught out, Spartan Mason having to flash over the Raptor Pit, trying to set up that aggressive vision.
I am a frequent caught out while warding individual. So I think Spartan Mason made the right play there.
Yeah.
It's just unlucky that you got caught out. Wildstar...
Ours in here into a 1v2.
Wow.
They are going to get off a lot of damage, but JT Man's able to pick up the kill. It's going to be a killing spree now over to the side of the Gnar. And Maokai here to try and just clear out this wave. They don't want to give over this tower.
Yeah, Time to Clown just sort of looking on in sadness. Wildstar went in a little bit early there and wasn't able to make the play happen in coordination with the Maokai. Looking a little bit of the top lane has swayed. Maybe I was wrong in my initial thing.
Trying to get him into the traps. Massive Solar Flare. It's gonna be cleansed there by the Jinx, who has to flash away as well. Kagran gets off the feathers. Massive Super Mega Death Rocket is gonna be able to pick up the kill onto Xayah. That is a big shutdown for this Jinx, but now they should fall to Leona as well. Maybe they can try to give it to the Annie if possible. Lil Del is running. They've got nowhere to go. They realize that they are dead. They are gonna be able to give it over to the Annie, but that is a big shutdown over to this Jinx.
Yeah, it looked like Kagran was auto-attacking Sammy there and just wasn't able to kill Lil Del before Lil Del was able to clean up both Kagran and Spartan Mason. And then Spartan Mason being more generous than I think I would have been in giving that kill over to Executive Chef. I mean, you just want to make sure the kill's there.
Well, we've all been there. Like, it's so much infinitely better, right, to take the kill in a situation where maybe you didn't need to, than to try to be that guy and give over the kill to a carry, and then they get away. Because then you get flamed either way. But at least in the one scenario, you're getting the kill, right?
I mean, exactly. I mean, you know, if that person gets away, it's like, like that feels really bad. And if your mid laner doesn't get a kill, then like that's not your fault. That's not your responsibility. It doesn't affect you at all. So
So
just
many
take it.
resources here mid, and Bessa are not going to connect, and they're walking up towards this Rift Herald, going to be spawning in 15 seconds. Again, this will be the objective feat to whoever's able to pick it up, and we've got a full 5v5 here potentially at the Rift Herald. These teams are not willing to give this up.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty bloody one. Like you said, the stakes are indeed pretty high here. If Aero is able to secure this objective, then that gives them feats of strength. However, if the Outlaws are able to make
Oh,
that
flash
happen,
in from Annie. They know that Jinx has nothing, and that's a massive pick for Aero here before this Rift Herald is online, or started up, I guess I should say. 4v5 for 20 seconds. Flash in from the Maokai. They do get onto Sammy. There is a dash in from Leona as well. And Thresh may be the sacrificial lamb to get this way out. These guys are in a massive chokehold, though, so that they can get off the wave damage. They do have the R. They're just pumping here. Cleanse has to be forced out there by Kagran, and they're continuing to pummel with the way. 72 different abilities, doing a lot of work. They're buying time for this Jinx to come up, and now Dragon is on the table as well, so we might just see this dance transition down to that side of the map.
I mean, this is getting really exciting. Jinx is alive again and is running bot side here to maybe try to contest against the Dragon, but I just don't think you can do it. I don't think you have the damage, and I don't think you have the numbers. So as soon as Jinx got picked there, it was sort of this little fight was over in the larger battle of the game.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to maybe just try and get this mid turret instead. Wildstar dashes in. They're trying to just take out this turret with a demolish. Not going to be quite able to get it. It will be Dragon going over to Aero, and that should be the feats of strength as we look at the boots. Yep, they are upgraded on red side. Now, of course, feats of strength not as overpowered as they were early in the season, as a massive dash there from Mabessa, gonna get onto Lil Del again, who just gets stunned up by the Tibbers.
No.
Twisted Advance coming through, and this fight, massive Gnar gets onto 5 people, but this fight is still going all the way with Aero. Teleport coming in from the way. That's a double kill over to Annie. 3 for nothing here so far. Make that a trade kill onto this Maokai, and make that a trade kill onto the Annie. So despite the early play looking like really in favor of red side, it is 3-2 salvaged by NG Outlaws.
Yeah, Pandora is just able to get out so much damage. If his team is just able to stay alive a little bit longer, if Lil Del is able to play a little bit safer, your flash is down, your cleanse is down, your Thresh does not have a Mikhail's. If Pandora's team is able to play a little bit safer, I think that the white damage from the exponential quantity of abilities in his arsenal is going to be able to be enough to honestly probably chip down a bunch of these Aero members with enough time for a Jinx to maybe pick up a kill, pick up a reset, and then that's the front back team fight one. However, at this point, if either one of them gets caught by any one of the abilities on the side of Aero, then it's just fight over.
Yeah, taking a look at our goal difference here, it is only about 500. So all things considered, this game is dead even. Yes, the side of Aero are up that Dragon, and it is an important Dragon to be up. Working towards that Ocean Soul can be really hard to kill these tanky members if they're able to keep working towards that. Other than that, I mean, it's pretty even here. Now, big thing to note here, Pandorum does not have a TP, whereas Executive Chef does. So if Annie looks to get in here for this play, it is going to be a heavy advantage to the side of Aero. Blackout trying to just kind of take this nice and slow. Gnar is also in Mega right now, so that is going to expire here relatively soon.
This.
Definitely looks like this should be an opportunity. Jinx has to walk up now. They're looking to go in onto this Gnar. Is going to get knocked up into the air. Tries to dash away. There is a Lantern able to get him out, but the flash through from Wildstar is not going to be able to be survived. And Blackout is going to be the next to fall here. Twisted Advance. Maokai. Volley dashes over the wall, does hit up the stun now onto Mbessa, but I don't think there's anything left for them to do. Flash away. Sammy, NG Slammy gonna get ran down by Tibbers here. So much damage from this Annie, gonna stun him up, and they are able to contest that Rift Herald with the Annie teleport coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know that they needed the anti-teleport. As soon as they were able to get that pick there onto the Gnar, it was looking like a pretty tough one. Gnar just not able to fill their Fury bar fast enough in order to make something happen. Slammy getting knocked up here.
Sammy just dies here. This mid tower is going to fall, and we could just see the Rift Herald get another charge off here. 9-15 goes our kill count.
I love the Rift Herald changes. I love that you get to pilot it and just slam it into these towers. I think it's a ton of fun. Very fun.
Yeah, it is for sure fun. Now that being said, it is also very important that people need to have their driver's license in order to pilot the Rift. I have had too many teammates crash that into the wall for my liking. Thankfully, we didn't see that problem there. As support, do you have that problem from time to time?
My teammates sending Rift Herald into Narnia.
Well, just like whether it's like the wall or like missing the tower, just a general sense of like not being able to drive.
Yeah, and like for some reason people are like, oh, the support shouldn't take it. What the hell are we talking about? I want to have a little bit of fun too. I think that's a pretty stupid rule that people got. It's pretty arbitrary, sort of like most laws. But in terms of the gameplay here, I think that NG Outlaws can pretty much never be counted out of this game. You know, one of the things that we were talking about during draft was the lethality of this Jinx off of one reset. That is pretty like reasonable happening as long as Lil Del is able to stay alive, if Thresh is able to keep Lil Del alive, if Wei is able to provide a ton of damage down. If Jinx gets one reset after maybe another half an item or an item or so, the game looks really good for the Outlaws. I think one of the things we talked about, the gold, which was a 500 gold advantage that quadrupled into a 2,000 gold advantage pretty quickly there, but that's still not an overwhelming gold advantage for a team that can potentially outscale.
Yeah, 2,000 at 10 minutes is very different than 2,000 at 22 minutes. And yeah, to that point of the Jinx, I think that's why there's been a lot of talk in Econ, I know from like Mew Life and Pickle Hater, about how, you know, kind of high prio this pick is in economy. You know, we see that difference from league to league. And when Econ is so heavily focused on these team fights, few AD carries do it better than Jinx. Lil Del trying to work on that mid lane prio. It is a 4v4 down here at the moment, but Jinx is very separated. Not going to get there from Leona, but now Volibear in a bad spot. Good Lantern, but now has Flash forced out from Lil Del, kind of caught out by themselves. And that's a massive summoner here down for this dragon fight.
Yeah, Lil Del just needs to be a little bit closer to the team in these fights. Getting split off like that basically just means that there is nowhere left to go. I mean, in this instance, Leona walks at Jinx here, and Jinx either dies or basically runs to base as the TP comes in from the north. They're
committing the teleport early here from J-Team, and they're in the Mega, but it is going to expire. If they're going to look to fight the dragon, they need to do so quickly. And Bessa already here, though, with the teleport. Wildstar coming down. We're going to have ourselves another 5v5. Volibear on the flank here. Is going to be able to catch out this Annie, perhaps. And now dash in from the Wildstar, and an executive shot should fall here. That is a reset over to the Jinx, and now you just gotta look at Jinx down here, flash in from Time to Clown, gets in onto Lil Del, but this Maokai is not that tanky. This could be a massive Zyar, gonna get so much damage off with the feathers, and this is just a full-blown chaotic fight. Sammy goes down, reset off to the Jinx. They are sprinting out of there, and just look at this damage coming through from Lil Del. Spartan Mason goes in onto Snar. All that is left is your Volibear and your Jinx, but they cannot continue this play. 3-2 kill count in favor of FE Aero, and this bot tower should fall here.
Yeah, again, one of those really great fights there. I really loved Executive Chef just like walking straight through, just strutting their stuff through the entirety of NG Outlaws to push R on Pandorum, and Wildstar right there with the follow-up, ready to go after that. And that's the fight. I mean, that's what we were talking about in draft, is the ease of execution for FE Aero is just so good, as Volley backup might get caught out on these Raptors here. Kagran, Spartan Mason looking to pull off some hijinks, but I think you just pull off and take the reset.
Yeah, but now that you see that Volley was low HP, kind of taking the Raptors, this is just going to give an opportunity for FE Aero to take this third dragon. They do have to stop that reset on the Volibear, but you are not that tanky. You cannot walk up by yourself into 5 members here. They're going to try. 7,000 on this dragon. R's are back up. Twisted advance already here for the Maokai. This dragon is just going to get burst out here, and that's going to be Soul Point over to the side of FE Aero. Dashing from Leona takes so much damage though. Pandorum able to pick up that kill, and you've got that Jinx reset here. No flash on the Annie. Should be next to follow. That is a good tipper, but a flash in from Blackout gonna mean 2 kills over to Lil Del. What else can NG Outlaws get done here?
Oh my god, a bit of a comedy of errors there at the start of that fight. I was thinking to myself, Outlaws, no, just get lane prio. You're not going to win this fight. And then as soon as the dragon goes down, there's sort of a split call there. Executive Chef and Spartan Mason seeing red blood in their eyes. They were ready to go for the fight, but the rest of FE Aero was not on the same page, and it led to a quick 2 kills, and it might end up becoming an Otacon trade over here for the side of FE Aero.
Yeah, I mean, Annie has TP in 10 seconds, but I think this will be down before they even get the chance to contest that. So despite being down 3 Drakes, they are going to be able to pick up the Atacon. Now with that said, as maybe Time to Clown's looking to fish for it, it isn't the end of the world, as they if you are inside FE Aero, only one Drake for the Outlaws, so they're not getting that, massive buff on this objective. But it's a good denial from Outlaws after winning that play at the Dragon.
And I mean, just like we said, NG Outlaws never out of this game. The gold lead has shrunk a little bit. It's a little under 2K now. But honestly, at that point, it's just sort of a margin of error. I think this is a little bit of what I was talking about with the Volley Bear build, where if you're going like the Cosmic Drive into like the weird options that, gives you a good hybrid sort of thing, but just doesn't give you the tankiness that the other build does. You just don't necessarily have the nutsack size to walk into that dragon fight and actually be able to create enough space for your Hui, for your Jinx, and give the Thresh the ability to just play Peel, because you just get blown up. So it's to play a little bit safer there, and that's sort of one of the errors there. But however, we are able to see the damage that's able to come out from that build, and the Iceborne Gauntlet slows are not to be underestimated for sure.
Yeah, now looking like they're transitioning into kind of more of a tankier build. Probably would expect to see a Dead Man's Plate coming out as Sammy trying to walk up, get this Vision Prio.
Oh, no,
but
Sammy.
you are by yourself. I think you've been in this spot before. Box is going to be put up there, but Wildstar able to pick up that kill onto a Rampage, and that could just be a Baron started up for the side of FE Aero if they choose.
Sammy, no! I've been in that spot so many times before, in that exact bush, in that exact location. Throwing down my ultimate saying, oh no, I'm caught again. Yeah, it happens. It happens to the best of us. Sammy, you're in great company or poor company, depending on who you talk to.
Blackout gets rooted up here into the Ambassador, into the Solar Flare, and they are just popped. And if the Baron wasn't in their favor before, it certainly is now with the Jungler dead for 40 seconds.
It confuses me a little bit why you're sort of looking for the vision there. You have the ward on the Baron, so you know that they're not on it, which means that they're only in one other potential place, which is just
They are not going to connect there from Pandorum. Good fear, though, onto this Annie. Can they pick up this kill? Tivers comes through, cleansed out, though, and they are actually looking to contest as these are relatively low health bars. Baron should be going over to
this isn't lost.
Red side here. Can they keep this fight going, though? Ooh, the Hui pull not going to be able to connect. They're looking to try and get this damage off. They are running them down here as best they can. You might be sacrificing Leona for the rest of your team, but Kagran actually stops the reset flash out there from Jinx. And Gnar looking to get that stun up. It is only going to be able to connect onto Leona as Xayah did use their R, and that is a massive feather pullback, but these health bars are so low. Pull, massive shutdown there for Pandorum into, cannot get the kill onto Spartan Mason, but that is 2 Barons down off of your carries for the side of FE Aero.
Yeah, it's just these knife fights, they're on a razor's edge. This game is so good. If this game is any indication of how this series is going to go, I'm going to be up way past my bedtime, and I'm not going to be mad about it. Economy never fails to entertain. So if you're new here to the low budget LCS, our economy is our iron, bronze, silver, goldish league. So that's sort of the rough makeup of these teams here. Is constant. It's my home place. That's where I started, and I went to finals my first season, and that's where I peaked, and I've never done better than that. And then just provides a whole ton of entertainment for the evening.
Yeah, Dragon Soul up here in 30 seconds. Jinx, important to note, has no summoners for this fight. It is Ocean Soul. Kagran does have their flash in tow, no cleanse. Lot of CDs up around the rest of the map. Flash is up for almost everybody. Wildstar doesn't have theirs as well. But I would love to see NG Outlaws try and contest this. I feel like an Ocean Soul for a Maokai and a Mbessa Leona going to be so hard to deal with. But look at Wildstar's up on this top lane. They have all 5 members down here, and they're giving up this tier 2 top lane. But with the empowered minions on the Baron, I mean, Wildstar could potentially look to do a ton of damage for just one dragon.
Yeah, Sammy losing the fight to the buffed up cannon minion there. Don't want to be losing a third of your HP sort of off rip there. However, this is looking like a really awkward position for the Outlaws.
Yeah, getting forced back here a little bit, getting a little bit of poke damage off, but this is a Leona. They are super tanky, and that's going to be a flash in from Maokai. Not going to be able to get out. Blackout has to flash away. Wildstar has teleported in. They have the advantage. JT Man now teleporting as well. This Mega Gnar is pretty far off, only at about a quarter of the the charge. Can they look to contest this? Is it going to be a 50-50? Blue side is going to start this up. They're trying to get this Gnar charged up, and so far they actually are kind of having the advantage here. Maokai R is down 5,000 on this dragon. They are trying to flip it here. Can they get the truce off? That's a dash in from Mbessa, and now we're just going to have a full-blown 5v5. Pandorum has to flash away over the top. This dragon gets taken. Ocean Soul over to the side of FE Aero, and this fight looks like it is going all the way of FE Aero. 3 members down. Down to 2, down to 1. All that's left is your Hui in a 1v4. I don't see how they're getting out of this. Triple kill over to Executive Chef, and we might just see a walk down mid lane here as Hui is going to do what they can. They're going to try to stun people up. They're going to try and get their damage off, but they are so low. They get by anything, they die, and they get flashed on by Kagrin. Not going to be able to get the Q to come through, but this mid tower likely to fall here in short order.
Yeah, and that may end up being the game, depending on how fast they're able to push these down. With they don't necessarily have, I think they have 1 minion there, which is more than 0, but not a ton. So it might just be the inhib and then reset and look for a good play off the next objective to try to run it down.
Yeah, inhib into reset, definitely like this. You know, it's a safe play. It's a smart play for the side of FE Aero. They were able to pick up that Ocean Soul, so they've got 3 Oceans in tow. These tanky members can be so hard to kill at this point. Jinx has their work cut out for him. Taking a look at our gold graph, it's about 5,000 on the dot. Looking at our items down the bottom, Xayah on those 3 items, Jinx at 2 and some change, working towards their 3rd item. Hui on 3 items. Mid laners are about even. And yeah, just kind of across the board, just slight advantages for the side of FE Aero.
If we're going to talk about items, the fact that Thresh does not have a Mikhail's right now is criminal.
Yeah, and that's where it's tough, because you have the cleanse on Lil Del, but when there's so many forms of CC on red side, the Solar Flare, Leona EQ, Maokai, Annie Stun, you definitely need more. Blackout maybe getting caught out here a little bit in their jungle. That is going to be the R coming in from Wildstar. Going to get off some good damage, but the numbers are here. The reinforcements are here. They're actually going to hit up a massive flash stun onto this Mbessa, who is pretty squishy. Reset comes through for Lil Del. Can they pick up this Annie, who is running? They are going to be able to pick up the kill with Tibbers onto Blackout.
Oh my God.
But 1 for 1 is your total play there.
Blackout just goes down. They have so much armor. The Thornmail, the Iceborne Gauntlet, the Chain Vest, and then they just get melted by the opponent bear. So we know which bear wins that fight. But NG Outlaws able to start clearing some of these waves. There's no Baron on the map for another 40 seconds. Blackout should be up in time to make any of those contestments that NG Outlaws want to make. It's just going to be a bit of a vision game here. And the thing is that Sammy's been caught out before. Spartan Mason's been caught out before. So we'll see which support pulls the Jackie Boy and gets caught out warding. Maybe Spartan Mason is able to walk away from this.
Yeah. Lil Del is going to have everything up for this fight. They are on 3 items. They've got that LDR in tow. No flash for Kagrin. No flash for Executive Chef. So if there is going to be a fight to win for the side of NG Outlaws, it might be this one at the Baron. Teleport is up for Annie. We're seeing all 5 members come up here topside for blue side. And with no Wildstar here, this would be the time to maybe try and make a play as, the E is going to connect there from Spartan Mason onto JT, man. They are relatively tanking this Gnar, but they are not extremely tanky. R is going to connect onto Jinx. Lil Del has to cleanse off that Solar Flare, and they're going to be able to pick up this Maokai. This is exactly what you needed to see. Can they keep this fight going? Massive reset, but Kagrin going to do so much damage here on this Xayah with the feathers. Lil Del gets rooted up there by Leona, but Kagrin just going to get popped there by Pandorum, and this is the fight that NG Outlaws needed. Dash in from Leona, going to get burst there. Double kill for Blackout, and this should be Baron over to the side of NG Outlaws.
Never count out the Jinx. Lil Del and Pandorum do so much work in that fight in order to make it go their way. Wildstar just delayed enough, is able to maybe pick up the skill into JT, man.
And all of a sudden, this is looking like a tough Baron. I mean, you've only got the Jinx and the Volley Bear on it. This Mbessa is full HP, 7,000 on this Baron. You need Pandorum to come over here and try and just get some DPS off. He is coming on the way. We are going to see them try and just zone off this Mbessa, but Lil Del is dying to the Baron here. Flash in from Mbessa onto Pandorum. They are able to pick up the Baron. Can they win this 1v3? This Ocean Soul, they are trying to do as much as they can. Wildstar going to be able to dash away from that Zap. That's going to be a shutdown on Pandorum. Make that a double kill in a 1v3 with this Ocean Soul. This might just be the turning point for FE Aero. 1v1. They are going to be able to flash in on the volley with the stun. Is going to be able to pick up the killing spree, but that only means you've got 2 Barons online for NG Outlaws.
Holy moly, what a game! And you said 2 Barons, but Sammy did not spawn in time to get the Baron
Oh,
buff.
only
So
one.
that is 1 Baron on a Blackout. So we'll see if they're able to make use of their purple minions. I mean, regardless, it's a good deny. So FE Aero can't take it, and we've still got a 1,500 gold lead here for FE Aero, so that seems to be like the magic number that they've got going on this game. And at this point, that is basically not much of anything at all. Jinx is on 3.5 items. Xayah is on 3.5 items. It is really going to be on these 2 marksmen to get the job done in these front-to-back fights.
And whereas that last fight, Jinx had everything up, this time, Jinx has no summoners, and Kagran has the flash, which is absolutely massive for this Elder Dragon fight. We're at that 35-minute mark. Any one team fight could be the end of this game. Game number 1, we got a 35-minute banger here in Economy. Slammy walking up with their jungler, trying to get this vision prio. It's going to be so hard to walk in. We'll see what angle they look to come through. And it looks like they're going to try and walk in through bot. But someone's got to get this mid lane, or they could look to just maybe get backdoored a little bit. Elder on line right now. Pandorum's going to catch this mid wave. But they're very split here.
Yeah, they're split up as the Elder comes up. I think Pandorum has enough time to just clear this and walk in. However, the Outlaws need to group up and play this fine. Right now, Pandorum and Lil Del are sort of in a weird front side of their team. It's going to have to be a proper front to back in order for them to have any chance of winning this fight.
Yeah, they're getting that mid lane prio. They do have the 1 Baron walking up those minions, but that's not going to continue as it is your volley who you need at this Elder. I mean, this is smart from the side of FE Aero. They're kind of just wasting the Baron away from NG Outlaws, and then they can just do the Elder kind of whenever. Jinx is still not going to have flash for whenever this fight happens. Cleanse could be coming up here relatively soon, and we do see Sammy might be getting caught out here, trying to go for some vision. Wildstar is lurking like a predator looking for their prey. Just gonna watch them graze. Yeah, just gonna watch them graze in the field, not go in. This is
like a leopard lying in wait as the gazelle unsuspectingly clears the stealth ward.
This on a razor's edge here.
This fight is the game for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree. They're stalling this out super long. Everyone has their ultimates up by this point. Slamming gonna walk in, try to get this
No
health.
Baron.
Yeah, no more Baron. So we don't have that on line.
Look at Wildstar. Look at the patience.
Yeah. Oh, Lil Del. This is the prey they're looking for, and Lil Del gets stashed in on. They are half HP. They immediately have to cleanse, but now all the reinforcements are here. Twisted Advance comes through onto Maokai. We are gonna have a 5v5 that is 8 and up. Massive solar flare onto 3 members. Double kill for Annie. Wildstar picked up. Massive JT man R, but it does not matter. 4 kills for nothing. All that is left is Pandorum, and screw the Elder. You've got a base to go destroy.
Holy shit! The Wildstar patience pays off. Laying in wait, the leopard gets their kill. Four of them, in fact. Pandorum is left to defend this siege. The inhibitor will go down shortly. Will Pandorum be able to clear the wave in time to protect their Nexus towers? Or will this be the first game going the way of FE Aero?
Pandorum's going to try what they can, but Time to Climb flashes in onto the way. Not a thing this way can do. That is going to be an ace, and that is just going to be game number 1 over to the side of FE Aero.
Time to Clown says, no way, no how. We are going to take this first game and put ourselves up to solidify our lead in the economy.
That being said, banger of a game 1. NG Outlaws were not out of that game by any means, and so I feel like we've got ourselves a great series here in the works. Taking a look at these damage numbers after game number 1, you can see Pandorum doing a ton of work on this way. Annie, though, leading the way with 34k on the dot. Absolutely massive Rs on this Annie. Definitely surpassed my expectations.
Yeah, Annie being able to outdamage Hui there is pretty insane. I'm not gonna lie to you. That is pretty. That just goes to show exactly how much of value Annie was able to get out of these spells here.
Yeah, I see cash out coming out from Salman. I have paid out the rewards here for the side of those who bet on FE Aero. And you've got a caster compliment coming through courtesy of, well, actually they want the compliment on you, I suppose. That's how I'm
They
reading
want
that
the
message.
compliment from me. I think this is the caster compliments the one who cashes in the caster compliment. So since Amanda the Panda cashed in the caster compliment and then named me as the caster whom they would like to compliment them, I will indeed compliment them as the caster in order to fulfill the caster compliment request. Amanda the Panda, excellent Haddle champion. Oh, wants caster Jackie Boy to get complimented. Well, that's a first I've ever heard that.
Yeah, that was a lot of compliments there in the span of about 60 seconds. Yeah, well, I guess in this case that means that I'm giving out the compliment to you.
Oh,
Um,
that's rough. I'm sorry to hear that.
well, and we'll really kind of start at the the Huddle Championship, right? Jackie boy, you've been doing this a long time. Way back in the PC recruit days.
Just called me
Never,
old.
well, maybe just like more of like unk than anything. Able to pick up, seasons of not being able to win the big one. Be able to pick up your first championship this winter. Not sure.
Indeed.
I don't really remember who you beat, but it was like a really, really,
Right,
really
right.
strong series coming out for you. As I'm getting invited
For sure.
to game number 2. Really kind of showing your stuff. This past season on the support role, the shot calling, kind of limiting the debauchery games kind of to a minimum, I would say. Very,
It's like a functional amount of debauchery. I would
yeah,
say.
well, yeah, like manage debauchery as I'm getting invited as classic. Luffy invited me to an ARAM while on stream. I appreciate it as always. But no, obviously.
And if there's, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna wrap up. Outside the Rift, very fun to hang out with in person. We've done a couple meetups at Holy Free Holies. Gonna have to do one again soon. And yeah, hopefully that satisfies the caster compliment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty satisfied with that. That's more compliments than I've received from most people. So that's pretty good there. And I mean, if there's really anything that describes the economy league of the low budget LCS here, managed debauchery would be the 2 words that I would pick. And that game that we just watched between NG Outlaws and FE Aero is a fantastic example of managed debauchery. Several times over these drag and over these Baron fights, we're getting a bit of debauchery, but it's managed just enough. And this time, FE Aero was the one who was able to manage their debauchery just enough to squeak out the win over NG Outlaws. We will see if Game 2 ends up being as on a razor's edge as the first one.
Yeah, so a couple things to note. NG Outlaws have decided to keep Blue Side here for game number 2. As the streamer, I appreciate that because that means that there's not much work that I have to do as far as setting things up. I did just preemptively switch up the bottles because people get really mad if you don't do that. I don't know what the big deal is, but that being said, you will know that it's 1-0 NG Outlaws. What adaptations are you looking maybe here for Sammy and company?
I think it's just a little bit more heads up on the macro play, and then if Lil Del and Pandorum are on immobile carries again, they need to be playing like they're on the immobile carries. We're seeing, Jinx walking up as if they had the self-peel of like a Kai'Sa or a Samira. You just don't have that, especially against that team comp. So showing a little bit more, I feel like the word respect is coming to mind for the lockdown on the side of FE Aero, depending on how this draft plays out. With that being said, there's also some draft pivots that they could have made at a couple of different points there in order to make sure that they made it as easy as possible. So picking up the Hui when you have a Leona and a Maokai on the board already is just going to be a little bit difficult. Continuing to pick this front to back when they are able to lock down your carries and you're not necessarily able to lock down theirs, or not pivoting to sort of like a D-push or a react comp where you're able to take the disengage in with something like a Renata. Picking the Thresh early, great idea, but just sort of limits your ability to respond to what FE Aero is throwing on the board in front of you.
Yeah, honestly, I think something that I would maybe like to see is maybe just a little bit more being on the same page between Blackout and NG Slammy. Again, I keep saying Sammy 2 Slap. We all know him as Sammy 2 Slap.
Don't we?
I would like to see kind of linking up a little bit more to kind of clear out this vision, especially if you guys are going to be the two, the meatballs of the team. You got to walk in, protect your carries, position yourselves in a way to protect Lil Del, who was kind of had a, not a rough game in the sense of like their play, but a rough game in terms of Like, it was hard to play out the Jinx into how much CC red side had into them. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of the adaptation I think I want to see, not even so much in terms of the picks, just in terms of the, what we're doing on the Rift.
Yeah, and I mean, Slammy, become a McHale's merchant. I promise you, you will never regret it. I have rushed McHale's in games where it looks quite foolish to rush McHale's, and it pays off because I'm able to easily cleanse my carries out of some disastrous situations. Do they put themselves back in the disastrous situations afterwards? Yes, but that's not my responsibility.
You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink type beat. As we're just waiting for teams, I'm assuming blue side, red side, yeah, FE Aero. They're probably feeling pretty good here. NG Outlaws probably talking a little bit about kind of what pivots they want to look to make. I think this Maokai was really impactful. We heard from chat. I think it was Mew Life early on was saying how high of a prio Maokai as a champion has here in Econ.
Yep.
Maybe that's
well
a first
Jinx.
pick angle, and the Jinx as well. Maybe you could see the Maokai picked up on one. Could go jungle, could go support. I know Sammy plays the Maokai support. Doesn't mean you're giving over the Jinx though, which does scare me just a little bit. Curious what the pivots are going to be.
The alternative, and this is like the thing with blue side, is that you're able to ban one, and then you're sort of, or you leave. You ban one, and then that way you get to pick the other, or you force them to ban the other, and then you're sort of both on equal footing. FE Aero will probably not want to ban either. That way, NG Outlaws is forced to pick one of Maokai or Jinx, and then they get the guaranteed other one.
That is true. I Sammy or to Mew Life, I think Sammy had some good hooks. I think there were some good plays. I think really the biggest thing was just kind of the, you're trying to set that vision for your team and you don't really have the reinforcements. But that could happen on literally any support. We can talk to Jack firsthand about that one.
Oh yeah.
You could be on Alistar and that same thing's gonna happen. So I don't think that the Thresh was necessarily the problem. I think that Thresh was a byproduct of the problem.
Yeah, it's just like Thresh in that position is sort of in this weird middle ground where he has to sort of play main tank, and Thresh is actually not a very good tank.
Mm-hmm.
Thresh is a good secondary tank, is not a good primary tank.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the fact that Volibear is going a hybrid build and Gnar opts for the Triforce first, which ended up working out because he was able to get several good fights going on there in the top lane against Wildstar on the Mbessa. It just means that Thresh is in this weird position where he has to try to tank as much as he possibly can, but then he can't peel. And then nobody's peeling his immobile carries because Gnar and Volibear can't really effectively do that as well. So it's tough.
Yeah. We're waiting here for draft to get started here. Again, they got about 10 minutes that they can kind of filibust here in between games. We don't have any intel on where we're at because neither team has actually said R just yet. And just as I go to say that, I jinx it up here. Wildstar.
I mean, for all we know, they may K-Rear may come in and say they're not ready yet after that, or something like that.
Maybe Wildstar is in the walls. Before the
teams get into draft, I'm gonna get my blue light glasses because I care about my sleep hygiene.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like we got a minute here anyway. NG Outlaws not quite ready here just yet. So we will hopefully begin started here in just a minute or two. Chat, how we doing tonight? Any hot pressing questions while we have this little bit of downtime? As looks like there's a bathroom break on the side of blue side holding us up. True, Sammy hasn't whipped out the Taric yet. That is, in my eyes, Sammy's signature pick. As they did play 5 consecutive games on their trip to finals. What is the meaning of life? I mean, I'm just gonna, be honest, right? I think I'm far too sober to answer that question. I think life is whatever you make of it. It's very, very subjective. It's all about goals. It's all about like expectations. It's all about satisfaction. And I can't really tell you like what life means. I did see the hunk alert. I did see that it's Spartan Mason. Haven't had the chance to pull it up just yet, or call him out just yet. But they will be referred to as the hunk from here on out. How many toes has LeChance licked in his life? So LeChance has been a known toe licker for 3 years. Figure over the course of a calendar year, probably like maybe once every 2 weeks. So that's like 5 times 26. You're looking at about 255. At least 1,000 is my guess. Yeah, I'm gonna say at least 1,000 toes in LeChance's life, but that's just a rough guess, and it could be way more. Too sober. Maybe I should change it up. Typically how do I put this? When Zodiac's on the cast, the chances of alcohol consumption do go up. That being said, it is a Friday night, so maybe I should get involved just a little bit, as it looks like
I've got tequila.
You've got tequila. That's dangerous.
Bum, 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 bum. All right, let's see what I did actually pick up a sweet treat on my way. Some Thin Mints from the beloved bakers at the Girl Scouts of America. I saw a table the other day. I didn't go pick up more because I still have a box from last year. Here's a pro tip. Put the Thin Mints in the freezer. Trust me, they make them a little bit crispier. They last forever. I'm not going to go try to explore why they last forever. But they last forever. And then the minty and the chocolate is just so good as the first band for set comes out here on the side of NG Outlaws. And they respond back with the Caitlyn.
Yeah, we'll see if Blue Side want to change up any of their bands. I think if you're red, you probably just kind of keep the bands as is. Maybe in that second rotation you take away the Sway. Because I do think Pandorum did have some pretty impactful plays on that champion. Blue Side, though, could definitely switch things up. We are here onto the draft, and Bessa is going to be taken off the table by NG Outlaws. They do not want to see that again for WildStar.
Yeah, JT Man says, get that champ off my screen. That level 2 kill there would be enough for me to say the exact same thing, and definitely would be enough for that Ducky Lord to say it. That guy's always complaining. Another blue one Jinx, baby. Let's lock that shit in.
Old habits die hard. B1 Jinx. They are saying that the Jinx was not the problem. They're going to lock that back in for Lil Del. Do we see the Maokai in response? Because again, that's kind of the evolution of draft, right? If you leave open the Maokai, it's just going to be taken by blue, and that is going to be the pickup. Unfortunately, Time to Clown might be on tank duty tonight. Again, every jungler's been there. Some more than others. Gonna be locked in, and we'll see probably matched here in AD carry as well.
Yeah, I'm just reading the message from Loki Aurora here about the idea. So you bite 2 tiny nips out of opposing ends, and then you use the Thin Mint like a straw to suck up cold milk. I mean, that is the type of ingenuity that you expect out of someone with a medical doctorate. As the draft continues in the exact same way, Aero saying there are no problems here. We'll see how NG Outlaws chooses to respond.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna predict that we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a Thresh, and we're gonna see a Volibear. That's my hot take.
Thresh and Volibear, I know who I'm putting my Schmeckles on.
Well, it's like the fool me once, fool me twice type shtick, right?
The problem is that this is like a best of 3, right? Oh, we pivot to the Taric, which is an interesting choice. You're sort of trying to. Okay, here's my thing. I don't love the Taric pick here. I love that it's a pivot. I don't love that it's a. I don't love that it's so early in the draft, because Xayah Maokai actually aren't champions that are like, wow, we really want to go into you. They're actually champs that are like, hey, come on into us. So if Aero just pivots to like a complete disengage comp here, or just goes for like a split push comp or a poke comp, it's looking a little bit rough for the Taric here. And then Sejuani, which is a go forward champion. So I'm not really sure what the theme is here for the side of NG Outlaws.
Sejuani looks good here. What can I say? We're going to likely be seeing Sej Maokai in the jungle. 2 tanks looking to front line. I definitely think that the Taric pick, I think it's best as a counter, but sometimes, and especially here in like econ, like it just comes down to comfort. And Tarek can buy a lot of time with that R for this Jinx. The Sejuani can provide a lot of setup for this Jinx. That's going to be a Shyvana pickup, which tells me that either this Maokai's going support or we're seeing a Shyvana top. Either of those are pretty interesting to me because I really like Shyvana as a champion.
Yeah, I think Shyvana is a really good champion, especially when you're just in this sort of situation where you can just sort of like farm up pretty freely. How's the Sejuani Shyvana matchup in terms of clear speed? Shyvana has the edge, no?
Yeah, Shiv definitely should have that early advantage. Full clear demon just wants to get that 6 as quick as possible before they look to kind of make any plays on the map. Olaf going to be taken away once again from NG Outlaws. But I think there's been a little bit of shift top being played. So I'm curious. I'm assuming we probably see a mid picked up here on 4, and then Outlaws have to kind of call their shot on where this Maokai, where the Shyvana are going. But no, I think Shiv's fallen out of favor just a little bit. Was really strong, kind of earlier this year in like the new patch reset. But they kind of nerfed her a little bit. Yasuo gonna be taken away as well. Malphite off the table, and probably another top lane ban, I would have to presume. And it's gonna be that Gwen for Wildstar.
Dongwater saying that Shyvana's a good takeaway because it's Blackout's best jungle, which sort of makes me wonder where Dongwater thinks the Sejuani is gonna go.
You can go Sejuani top. It's not unplayable.
I've heard of it. Ducky Lord was a Sejuani top abuser for a second there, but the thing that he was mostly abusing was his own team. As we head into the 4th pick on the red side here, which is oh my god, the Vel'Koz is such a good choice.
And technically, that doesn't fully clear things up. Vel'Koz could be mid, could be support. Maokai could be top, could be jungle, could be support. Shyvana could be top, could be jungle. So a lot of flexibility. I can't imagine that Tarek has a very fun time into Vel'Koz.
Yeah.
So maybe you send this Maokai top lane. We'll see what the pickup is here for NG Outlaws.
Maybe you do end up doing that. Dongwater, not sober enough to be commenting about this game. Well, I'm probably not drunk enough to be commenting about this game. So you and I, my friend, we need to we need to split the difference here a little bit.
Yeah.
As the Ahri comes in for the side of NG Outlaws, and they're going to round it out with selecting their top laner, which is probably going to be a blind pick, as they probably want to counter that on the R5 here for FE Aero.
Yeah, of course. Dongwater, if you didn't see in community chats yesterday, or I guess earlier last week, they had that really cool like OML IRL meetup with like the coasters. As we have a no pick, so we're playing 4v5. NG Outlaws in the chat. It is Garen. So Garen is the pickup on 5 for
God of the net.
JT Man. And that means have you played with Pengu Garen yet?
I have not played with Pengu Garen yet.
Oh, you are in for a treat then. I'm pretty sure that's still in the game here. 5 seconds left. All these flexes are going to be revealed, and it's gonna be the Camille picked up.
That's a pretty good pick into the Garen there. I think Wildstar is basically saying that I want this matchup. I want the counter pick here. I want to be able to get a lead over JT Man. And we'll see if JT Man is able to hold their own, picking Garen blind. As Undead Reaper 9999 says, either Maokai or Shyvana support.
Yeah, I would be willing to bet my 344,000 schmeckles that it is the Maokai support. It could be the cook of the century for maybe like a poke Shyvana support, but I think you send the Maokai down there and you're probably big chillin'. Not quite into game here just yet, but the prediction is live. And we'll keep this draft screen up so you can make your informed bets. Again, the LBLCS does not give gambling advice. Only opens the door for you to do what you choose with your schmeckles. The only way to make them is to gamble them.
Well, I mean, there's other ways to make them, but you guys have a choice, and you guys have sort of implicitly signed the informed consent by joining into the stream. If you didn't know that, then you should talk to our lawyer. You should talk to our lawyer. which is Seer, by the way. Just DM him for anything.
Yeah. Has kind of taken that role over from Praetorian, of course. No, I mean there's no other way to get rich quick rather than gambling on stream. You can slowly work your way up the ladder, with the freebies that Twitch gives you, but really, you gotta make money by gambling. It looks like red side is ready. Is blue side ready? That is the question, and we have no clarity here just yet.
Well, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready. Of course, I always tell the chat that we will just catch up.
Figure it out.
We've got the
there
spectator
we go.
delay, so even if we weren't ready, we have to sit and wait around 3 minutes anyway. So just send us on our way. You know what I mean? So I will switch us over to this screen, just in case there's some debauchery. You will get to see the picks coming through, but I would assume it's Shyvana jungle, Maokai support.
Yeah.
Again, no linoleum, so no Maokai mid.
Probably not. No.
Yeah, probably not. Doesn't sound green to Ari for sure. Ari,
No, I have played Camille support.
it sounds like a Jack pick.
It's quite the backhanded compliment there.
No, but it's you've got the like when I think of Jack supports, outside of the traditional ones, I feel I think
Right.
of things like the Jarvan. I think of things like the Camille.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Oh,
of
yeah.
I think of the thing I think in my brain when I am picture playing with you in games that I remember playing with you, it's with you and Duolingo Owl in the bot lane where there's a kill. There's 3 kills in the bot lane by 2:15.
Easily.
I'll be finishing my top side camps, and one side or the other we'll get a double kill. And I wouldn't expect anything less. So it's not even so much a backhanded compliment. It's just calling it how it is.
Yeah. No. I think you and I could probably not have more polar opposite playstyles. Our approach to the exact same video game is completely different.
And that's the beauty of League, right?
That truly is.
Okay, and it is Shyvana jungle, so no Shyvana support coming out here tonight. Maybe.
Still could be. So we could do a Camille mid, Maokai support. We could do it's Vel'Koz mid. Nah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
still
just-
being boring.
Yeah. One thing I'm kind of going to be keeping my eye out for is this Ari in the mid lane. I know Ari's been kind of the flavor of the week in terms of the mid lane at the moment, going Roa into the the tankier kind of build, and so you end up with 3,500 HP and you're just burning your enemy over time. Curious if they go that into the Vel'Koz. I mean, I'm not a mid lane connoisseur, so I don't know if that's just a build it whenever or if it's in certain situations, but I know Ari has been a pretty high prio mid lane in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think that build is good when you don't necessarily need the damage. And I'm looking at the side of NG Outlaws here, and I'm feeling like perhaps the damage might want to happen. I mean, you're gonna get some damage from the Garen for sure, and you're definitely gonna get it from the Jinx. I just don't think the Jinx is gonna be enough. However, there's only one real tank on the side of FE Aero, and that's Maokai, and Maokai's on support budget. So after that first item and a half or so, that budget sort of really goes through the floor. It's NG Slammy hovering this Teemo here before slamming in the Taric.
Yeah, it just has to do a little bit of crowd service there for sure. As we are gonna head into our spectator delay here in just a minute. Looking at these comps, what are you seeing? What are you keeping your eyes on?
I think that NG Outlaws has a great pivot here away from a sort of funky hybrid situation where Jinx is the main sort of front to back carry threat, but then there's sort of some weirdness happening with the rest of the team comp. So we do have the Jinx Xayah matchup again, so it's going to be another set of front to backers. However, in my eyes, I think FE Aero has a bit of an edge. Vel'Koz is able to get so much more poke out so much more effectively. Taric can heal, but is best at healing when he's in range of auto-attacking somebody, so he's not depleting his mana pool so readily, and can sort of keep those charges going. if he's not able to walk up, if he's not able to get those auto attacks off,
Mhm.
it's just a miserable time for him.
Yeah.
And Camille, I think, has the split push advantage over Garen, unless I'm wrong about that. And the people who know more about top lane can correct me on that if I'm wrong. And then Shyvana is able to really just power farm all the way through. I'm on the side of FE Aero here. I think that they have the edge in draft, but as we all know, you can have a perfect draft and the game just goes not your way. The coin sort of lands tails here. So my Schmeckles are on FE Aero. Actually, literally this time, I did do a little bit of voting.
I did see that.
Somebody was like, "Oh, why don't you gamble?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." So I decided to put half my Schmeckles down. And if I lose them, then I'm gonna, I don't know. It's gonna be a quiet third game cast from me.
Yeah, 2 minutes and some change here on the spectator delay. Again, if Nefarious wants to keep this a series, they want to keep themselves in the thick of the playoff race. They've got to win this one. And so Sammy, series on the line. This is their flu game. Michael Jordan, they're pulling out the signature Tarek. Whereas FE Aero, they win this, and they're pretty much guaranteed top 8. I don't see how they fall out at this point in the season. We'll see if they are able to clutch up here in game number 2. Taking a look at the predictions, as yes, in chat, FE Aero, who are on red side, did win game number 1. And the predictions are slightly in favor of FE Aero here in game number 2.
Yeah, they were a little in the favor of NG Outlaws for a second there, which made me much more confident to put down half my Schmeckle pool. And then now the rate of return is not looking as perfect. However, I'll still be pretty happy with that cash out if and when it comes, as we head down to just a minute remaining on our spectator delay before we jump into watching this on the line game for the Outlaws.
Yeah, absolutely. Just taking a look at the chat, catching up a little bit. Chat saying that Sammy is going to have their work cut out for him here in this game. I don't disagree, but if there's one player in Econ that I would have faith in the support role to make it work, it is Slammy. Again, they've won Econ before. They've been to finals before. So I'm going to switch this over here a couple seconds early just so that, we don't get stuck on the wrong screen. Again, the spectator delay the spectator client rather, always scares me that it's not going to work. So we'll see if we load up here correctly and get our little skins showing, as looks like we are up. And there is the Pengu Garen that I expected.
My God.
Oh yeah, we'll have to tune in
what the hell is that?
We're gonna have to pan directly over top the Garen for sure. A lot of good skins here on the Rift. No bad ones. And just for a little time check again, I'm at 5, 6, 7,
my
8.
Lord, what is that champ?
Yeah, so we're just gonna zoom in here for a couple seconds. We'll just click on here, and I mean, just look at the Garen. it's so ridiculous. It is absolutely.
Is incredible.
I'm just gonna sit here for a minute.
It stays like this the entire game.
Yeah. No, this is just the skin. Need to see if they do the little emotes. I'm sure that they will. We're gonna zoom in all the way. Here we go. doing a little dance, a little shimmy. Doing a little bit of fan service here. Now, will they hit the dab? That is my question. This skin does hit the dab, but I haven't seen JT Man pull it out just yet. We'll give it another couple seconds. Okay, wait a second. Okay, start up. Okay.
Rodstar's gonna ruin the fucking party.
Yeah. Oh, there.
Oh, the dab. There we go.
There's the dab. All right, we'll take this.
I'm at 106, 107.
Yep. We are on the same time. Nice and easy. Such a silly little guy on this Pengu Garen, and we see nothing too interesting happened here in the early phase. Looks like Wildstar might be trying to walk up and get a ward on this blue side, and they will do so successfully. And we see the junglers pathing opposite directions this time.
Yeah, again, like that ward is just going to give so much more information to the side of FE Aero. They comparably do not know where the Shyvana is starting, so they sort of sacrifice their ability to get a little bit of early vision there, like dropping a ward on Raptors, for example. I forgot that I had selected my camera to just JT, man. I was like, wow, directed camera really likes the Pengu Garen as well.
Yeah, no, I did the same thing too for sure. I had to pivot off as we see some early trading in favor of Wildstar here. Garen should be able to sustain up just a little bit, but early good stuff here for Wildstar, who we did see pick up a solo kill very early on last time.
Yeah, we'll see if Wildstar is able to keep the heat going up against JT Man there. Now, JT Man may have the hearts of the fans with the skin, but will that be enough in order to help them get most effectively this win? As
JT Man in a tough spot with this wave. Ignite gets popped there by Wildstar. Is not going to be able to pick up the kill again. Takes a tower shot, but JT Man likely going to have to reset here and take a teleport, or they're just going to fall. They're going to try and sustain it up. They're going to try to stick this one out in a bit of a rough spot. Likely going to be seeing some action here in just a couple seconds up there as early clears pretty much even. Maybe a slight advantage. Shyvana is able to pick up that fourth camp, so they've got, you know, a couple second advantage.
Yeah, NX Angel saying that the hunk is the Penguin Garen. Couldn't agree with you more myself.
Ooh, had to quickly mute there to get that quick sneeze off as Sejuani is spotted out here on the board, and they are trying to come up here on a Wildstar. It is going to be sniffed out, though. Will they still fall prey? There is no Ignite on this Camille, or there's no Flash, rather, because they did go the Ignite. So they're fishing, waiting around, not going to be able to get anything to go off here, which means that Shyvana's going to be able to pick up these early camps. And now we see the play coming through Shiv. Or Sedge going to interrupt the hook shot, and that should just be first blood over Flash by JT Man, but it's going to be picked up by Blackout. First blood over to NG Outlaws.
Yeah, a little miscommunication there between JT Man and Blackout for who would pick up that kill, and JT Man ends up burning Flash for no reason, but that is a great interrupt from Blackout. You earned that kill, bud. So this is looking like a much, much better start for JT Man in the top lane for the side of NG Outlaws.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick little kill there. Blackout bought, or, you know, they marinated on that one. They sat, they waited for the opportunity, and they struck when it was hot, picking up that first blood. Now they are back on their camps, and that is going to kind of desync these this top side just a little bit. But you're on Sedge. It's not the end of the world as long as you're still getting the camps, you're getting that experience. That being said, only about 200 gold difference here so far. Things are pretty even everywhere else across the map.
Yeah, it's looking like a much cooler start. Cool in terms of like temperature for NG Outlaws, which is sort of exactly what you want to see when you have like a Jinx Ahri, like you're just looking to scale up, out, and above. But things could pretty easily start to shake up. Shyvana was able to get that first base off as the pickaxe now is going to make that clear that much faster. As this first dragon comes up, Shyvana should probably be tapping
Blackout
down.
is actually
Blackout
just right back
again.
up here. Can they hit it twice? Hookshot going to come through. Blackout not going to be able to connect. They're going to go in. They're going to be able to hit up the 2 procs on the W, into the stun, into a lot of damage, but not going to be able to lead to a kill.
Yeah, really keeping the pressure on there, but that means Time to Clown basically has a completely free dragon to go for here. Kagrin and Spartan Mace keeping up the prio there as Sammy wants to go in.
Goes in. Maokai able to queue in onto this Jinx. Cleanse forced out though by Kagrin. And like you mentioned, Shyvana's just picking up this dragon for free. And there's few champs in the game that benefit more from free dragons than Shyvana. Picking up that early Mountain Drake.
Yeah, Shyvana able to really show her species who's boss and be the #1 dragon on the Rift there. It was a good look from Sammy. You got the cleanse from Kagrin. I'm honestly not too sure it was necessary, but better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
It's looking like it's going to be a bit of a quieter bot lane here, just because, I mean, neither of these... I mean, Spartan Mason on the Maokai probably has a little bit more of an ability to make something happen compared to a Taric, but neither side has a particularly strong engage here as Wildstar.
Hookshot comes through. Hextech Ultimatum is up here. Is fishing. Not going to go for it, though. But Garen's going to have to leave. Does have teleport. So Camille going to try and just shove this wave and get themselves on a decent reset. And you can already see this early CS advantage again for Shyvana, already up to about 15 CS. Wildstar greeted to get the wave, call them B3AR. They are going to get interrupted on the hookshot, not going to be able to connect, and Pandorum's just going to be able to pick up this kill. Sedge getting the KP, not going to take the kill though this time.
I thought Sedge was going to just thwack that kill out of the pause of the Ahri, but alas, was not able to make that happen. To successfully secure the kill over both of their solo laners, as I would certainly do if I were in that position. JT Man makes a pretty good roam over here to pick up the wave in the mid lane, as Pandorum picks up the wave up top lane.
Yeah, heads up, kind of mini map rotations here. Now, I would say, I don't think you want JT Man into the Vel'Koz for any amount of time more than one wave. So they are going to head their little Pengu self back up to the top lane, and Slammy gonna get hit up here by Maokai W into the Q. Guardian gonna take a lot of the damage. Kagran though is caught in a bad spot. The traps are zoning them off. They are probably gonna have to burn their flash here. Kagran flashes away, just gets pinned up against the wall there. Heads up stuff from the Outlaws.
Top got stuck in the toilet again, according to the executive chef there. Looks like JT Man disconnected from the game briefly, so we've got a pause coming in here.
Yeah, overall, gold lead still pretty even, and they're actually ready, so we don't even have to filibust, which is fantastic. We'll see this get unpaused. Hopefully, no post-pause shenanigans. Maybe a little bit. We like a little bit of shenanigans here at the LBLCS, but like not too much, and it has to be nonchalant.
Only the nonest of chalant shenanigans in the LBLCS. But I'm a fan of chalant myself, so looks like we have the unpause here. We'll see if we get the post-pause pause. That's a classic here at the low-budget LCS. We should honestly got a sponsor.
Super Mega Death Rocket gonna claim the feats of warfare. Lil Del maybe catching Kagran asleep at the wheel just a little bit, and that's 3-0 so far for Nefarious.
Oh, what a look from Lil Del there. There's no heal, no barrier, no flash. The Super Mega Death Rocket lives up to its name.
And there was our pause. As expected, hookshot is not going to land, but this Camille keeping that level advantage, just kind of putting the pressure on.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough lane for the Garen here. The red 5 counter pick is coming out pretty strong there. Blackout was able to really make something happen there in terms of paying a bit of attention to the lane matchup. However, it is still the same lane matchup, and Garen wasn't able to necessarily benefit from those deaths on Camille as much, as Camille looks to go in again with the Hextech Ultimatum.
Does a lot of damage on this Camille, not going to be able to pick up the kill, but this Garen again super low, does still have the teleport, so they could look to reset and come back to lane. And one thing to note is Blackout has spent a lot of time trying to kind of invest as the hookshot. Again, going to try and pick up the kill. Not going to be enough. But they spent a lot of time to try and kind of enable JT Man on this Garen. But because they did that, Shyvana is picking up a massive CS advantage already at 8.5 CS per minute here. This is exactly what you want on this Shiv. Working towards that Spear Shojin as quickly as possible. And yes, you can sacrifice camps as a tank jungler, but when the lane that you're playing for isn't kind of like reaping the benefits, that's where it feels really, really bad. Dragon here in a minute 18, Grubs in a minute. We'll see kind of where these teams draw their battle lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing, I'm going to borrow a little bit of language from business majors here, which is something you don't hear me say often, and say that the opportunity cost of ganking the Garen there in order to sort of bail out that lane is that you aren't necessarily ganking the Ahri in order to get her ahead enough to be able to really one-shot or come nearly one-shot the Vel'Koz or the Xayah, and you're also not ganking the bot lane in order to try to get the scaling pick Jinx ahead, which is your main win condition, not necessarily the Garen. So a little bit of a you can make an argument for both conditions, as Blackout is laying in wait for Wildstar, doing a little bit of payback for the dragon fight that ended last game.
Silence comes through. Hookshot is available for Camille, and now Shyvana R's, but actually goes into the wall here. Now they're kind of isolated. Shyvana flashes in on that E for the Garen. Garen is taking a ton of damage. Good Sejuani are to buy time. That is a lot of ults down. Shyvana going to tick away here. And Garen is super low. Does not have teleport. And now Pandorum gets flashed on by the Maokai into the Vel'Koz R. Ari going to dash up with the Spirit Rush to get away. Super Mega Death Rocket connects. Not going to pick up a kill. And that should just be Grubs going over to red side here. Hookshot comes through, gonna connect onto the Sejuani, but Camille's gonna pick up the kill. Meanwhile, we got a 1v2 on the bot side. No flash for the Xayah. They are gonna try and pick up this kill, and it looks like it should go over to the Jinx. Lil Del able to pick that one up. Blackout gonna tick under the tower. Ignite not gonna be able to finish him off.
Ends up being a 1-for-1 there, except Aero is able to pick up the Grubs there to sort of keep pushing themselves ahead. Remember that the feats of warfare were claimed by NG Outlaws, so Aero needs to get both the first tower as well as the first 3 objectives, and it looks like Shyvana wants to get this second dragon here in order to secure that 3rd objective for them, but Slammy 2-Slap is just being a little annoying here in the dragon pit, as Blackout might look to blast cone over for the steal.
Yeah, we might be seeing a 50-50 here. It's important to note a lot of ults were used. It's just going to be popped before they even have the chance at a 50-50, and that does mean that the feats of objectives, whichever one they're called, goes over. Is it feats of monster slaying? Go over to the side of Aero, which means that we're down to a turret here to determine the feats of strength.
The Jinx is looking to get a little bit pretty good here. It's got like a 15 CS lead, a couple of waves there, and is probably pretty close to their first item. So that is going to be a pretty big spike for NG Outlaws, as the Wildstar just paying the pain over to JT Outlaw with this counter pick.
Yeah, this wave's in a really bad spot for this Garen. Kind of getting zoned off of a lot of minions. You can see they're down about 30 CS. Across the board, you're kind of seeing CS differences in most spots, you know, about good CS advantage in the bot lane for NG Outlaws, as Blackout maybe fishing here does have the Glacial Fissure. Can they connect onto Kagran, or does Kagran have the hands to flash it? Not going to be able to connect. It was a max range look. It's worth fishing. Not going to be able to connect.
You can go fishing all you want, but that don't mean the fish are going to bite every single time, as Garen gets another wave pushed into tower here and tries to pick up whatever scraps remain. Tiamat coming out, helping them clear those waves away. It's looking like a sort of awkward. NG Outlaws are sort of ahead in some circumstances, but behind in others. JT Man is not benefiting from his team's gold advantage as much, whereas Lil Del and Pandorum are maybe feeling that benefit a little bit more, which is sort of where you want that benefit to be felt. So we'll see what ends up happening. I think a lot of it is going to come down to how Time to Clown and Blackout choose to play out the next 5 to 8 minutes. In terms of objectives, and then also where they gank lanes. You can see Time to Clown, the pings are coming out in the top lane. Maybe they look for a dive against JT Man, but Blackout might be clearing up, so it's gonna be contested.
Yeah, we see this goal difference is only about 1,000, but again, the person you want to be ahead is ahead right now. This Jinx up about 1,200. Such a menace in these team fights if they're able to get online. We see this fighting over vision. Gotta be careful if you're Lil Del, but they should be okay.
Yeah, there's just not as much catch on the side of Aero. You know, they had all this catch last game with the Leona, with the Maokai, with the Annie, and the Ambessa, but they don't have the same amount of catch. That like the ease of execution just isn't as there. So we'll see if they're able to just play out the front backs and try to use a gold lead from wherever they can get it in order to wallet diff those fights. But Blackout is looking for another gank up against Wildstar here.
Good sidestep on the Glacial Fissure. Now actually a hook shot in. They're opting into this 1v2, and they are winning this 1v2 massive up there on the top side. And now we pivot to the bottom where Slammy gets knocked under the tower. Does have the R ticking, but it's not going to save them. And Lil Del, you've got the barrier, you got the flash. I don't know if you've had a life here though, but Pandorum coming in to protect the president with that teleport is going to save the Jinx, but that is a massive one play for the side of Aero.
Oh no, disaster in the top lane. Camille doing Camille things. The Glacial Fissure goes wide. The Sejuani W goes wide. It's just not enough to be able to connect. Wildstar, really effective job doing that as Pandorum just blows a flash for free in the mid lane.
Yep. Good trade there, getting that summoner out. And now I actually have a Spirit Rush in, and there's no flash now on this Vel'Koz. It's going to hit up by the Charm, and that's just going to be a solo kill in the mid lane. Back to this top lane, 2-level advantage for Wildstar over Blackout. Going to try and get the stun to connect. JT Man is here, but JT Man is also only level 9, so there's not going to be continued play.
Pandorum does not want to be counted out of the playoff spot just yet, doing everything they can in order to make this game go their way.
Yeah. Rift Herald gonna be started up here off rip by Nefarious. We'll see if they try and contest this at all. But if you're Shiv, I mean, you're on 2 dragons. You're stacking towards the soul. Yeah. It is Cloud, which is such an impactful dragon as well. I think you're fine to just give up this Rift Herald.
Just move that little dragon self on over. You got to go ahead and pick up that 3rd one and really show that dominance. This Herald is going to be pretty uncontested here. Blackout just doesn't want to hit the eye, I guess. Maybe they're an optometrist or something like that. And they just feel wrong about it. Not sure what's going on there, but time to Clown walking down. Spartan Mason setting up the vision line with these saplings as well. Herald's still going here.
Sedge, not known for their objective taking prowess. GT Man came in at the 11th hour to help them take it out. But this is going to be dragon started and just going to be dragon taken most likely by red side here, which means it'll be soul point for the side of FE Aero.
Pandorum's on a reset. There's just no way in here. Blackout might not agree with that call. Is able to dash on out of there and start up their Raptor camp.
Yeah, hookshot comes through. This tower is low on the top side. Wildstar should be able to pick this up.
Jesus.
And this Camille just does so much damage with this Triforce. And now Lil Del maybe getting caught here a little bit. Blue team able to pick up the first tower, though. That is massive. JT Man will die in response in the top side. Flash out from Spartan Mason into the Maokai R. The Hunk able to get out. Actually, no, the Hunk is in the top lane. That is right. We did have a switch. That being said, feats of strength over to blue side by mere seconds, courtesy of Lil Del.
Yeah, good play there from Lil Del and from Sammy down in the bot lane to really put the pressure on that tower. Wildstar does so much damage on this Camille. It is looking so miserable for JT Man. I don't know what NG Outlaws can necessarily do to bail him out, but whatever they can do, they better start doing it pretty quick.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see Camille kind of head to this bot lane. You kind of keep the pressure on these tier 1s. They are keeping Vel'Koz down there, though, so maybe it's just, keep them top and pressure the Hunk on this Pengu Garen. We do have the Rift Herald in tow, and Garen is actually the one holding it. So curious to see how they look to make that play across the map. This mid tower is pretty healthy. I think top tower is probably pretty healthy, as we've got maybe another little bit of a pause action coming through here. We'll see what the deal is. And there we're unpause just like that.
Oh, you paused?
I did pause. I'm at 41, 42, 43.
Oh wow, okay.
44. I'll just keep counting. 49, 50, 51.
All right, I got it.
All right, perfect. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Just like little stutter. That being said, goal difference about 1,000 in favor of red side, but they are on soul point, and soul makes up quite a goal difference. It makes it what, like 4,000 all in all. Each dragon's worth about 1,000. If I'm Nefarious, I am trying to fight them at this soul. I am not giving it up, but that means that you're gonna have to find a way to deal with this Camille, because you're probably bringing Wildstar down. Good dodge away from the E. Flash in. Hookshot does connect there, though. And Shyvana maybe in a bad spot. Has to flash away as well. They do have the Unstoppable. They're going to get over the wall. But that is a flash for Flash. Again, support for jungler. You'll take that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Lil Del and I hit tab,
they're sending everybody up here.
CS
Charm does connect onto the Camille. Super Mega Death Rocket connects. Camille's trying to do the best they can. Can they give this over to the Jinx? No, they cannot, but they give it to the Ahri, which is just fine. Flash out from Blackout is still going to get burned to death by this Vel'Koz. 1 for 1, but a massive shutdown to a carry on blue side.
Another armor stacking game from Blackout, and another instance where they're just getting pwned by Executive Chef with a Malignance character. It's like poetry. You can choose to itemize however you want, but that champ still does what that champ does, then you are getting blown up.
Yeah, I mean,
Durham
absolutely.
looks to defend this bot lane tower.
Go try their best to defend it here, but with the grubs, it might be a little tough. Not worth dying for. Dragon is going to be up here in about a minute and a half. Shyvana probably going to be close to 2 items, whereas Blackout's still working toward... They do have that first item now into the Hollow Radiance. Take a look elsewhere. Camille working towards their second item. 2 items on the Ahri. I think Pandorm has been having a pretty solid series. And then Jinx... They're on 2100, so they should get a second item here, but we're seeing Atacon start up here for the side of NG Outlaws, which is pretty terrifying. This objective gives me some nightmares. Maybe they're looking to force, you know, people away from bot lane. I'm not 100% sure. We're at 8,000 health. Maokai is here. We see Shyvana booking up here. It is going to be a 5v5. Teleport comes through from Pandorum, and we're just going to see Pandemonium up here. 5,000 on this Atacon. Glacial Fissure connects onto the Vel'Koz, and now we just have ourselves a full-blown 5v5. Wildstar is in. Slammy goes down. R onto Lil Del goes down. Voracious Atacon taken by the side of Effie Aero, and it is just going to be an ace most likely. Pandorum might actually get out here. Hookshot going to come through, forces out the flash from Ahri, and despite starting up the Atacon, they are going to get aced up here, courtesy of Wildstar. Might be giving over one of the resets. Maokai trying to catch him, not gonna be able to get him. So they are gonna pick up two of the Atacoms. So that is 400 gold, but a massive one fight for Effie Aero, and that's gonna be top tier 2, and potentially Soul going over to them to boot.
It's painful watching a team start Atacon when they don't have a clear route to do so. NG Outlaws going for the risky play. It does not pay off for them this time, and Effie Aero shoots up to a 4,500 gold lead here at 22 minutes, which is, I think, more than they ever had in the last game. The Herald gets dropped in the mid lane here. We'll see if somebody takes it for a spin. Lil Del is shepherding it over to that mid lane tower. They have more restraint than I do. If I'm Lil Del, I'm right-clicking right into that damn Herald.
Yeah, and Luffy calling out in the chat that Terracar was on CD for that fight. I think a Terracar could have made the difference. You know, you have that up, you buy time, Jinx can survive, but ultimately not going to be able to connect. Sammy gets hit up by the hookshot. Shyvana dashes in onto 4 members, followed through by the Maokai, and now this Vel'Koz is shredding on the backside. Tarek already down. Hookshot comes through, not going to connect onto the Garen. Going to be able to get this one out, but they are just continuing this pressure, and now time to clown on this Soul. No contest likely here to come through. Blackout could go for a one-way trip, but is getting burst so quickly that it is just going to be Cloud Soul over to Effie Aero. 4-0 in terms of Dragons. 6-10 goes that kill count.
It's looking like a really, really difficult game for the Outlaws to try to find and claw a way back in. They just have to look for a pick, but they are the ones getting picked.
They are getting picked. JT, man, getting shredded. That is a super mega death target onto the Maokai. That is going to be the first reset coming through, but now they saw the Voracious Icons. That's going to be another withdraw coming through. 3 members are here. You've got to be careful for your Lil Del. That's a little bit of gold back in your pockets, but still 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last game, like you can really never count out a Jinx team. And the gold is where it needs to be, right? Ahri's got 3 kills, Jinx has 3 kills. Both have about 200 CS, so either up 20 or 40 CS on their respective laners. However, it is looking really difficult for Outlaws to get much done because Vel'Koz also has 4 kills, and Camille is an absolute terror.
Yeah, very, very scary here. Baron is your next objective on the map here in about 55 seconds. We will see if we have Nefarious trying to make their last stand. Again, if they lose this game, I don't think they're mathematically eliminated from playoffs, but they are in a very, very tough spot to make playoffs. So they...
Yeah, I think it would no longer be in their hands. I think they would need other teams to lose.
Mm-hmm. So this is it, do or die. For your control, your destiny into playoffs. Gonna be a hard fight, but again, all it takes is that one Jinx reset. We saw it in that game number 1. Things were looking bleak. They got the resets off. They got the Baron, and there were signs of life here. As Sammy walking up for that vision control gets a ton of damage off, and they are flashing out, but they're just gonna get ran down. Follow through flash from Kagran aggressively on the Xayah now. Hits the other feathers coming through, and now Lil Del under the tower just going to get rooted up. Another kill, Executive Chef unstoppable. Blackout the next to fall. Shutdown does come through for the Jinx, and now Xayah is going to die to the tower. So 2 for 2 in the end. But this Camille is now here. You do not want to keep this contest up. Glacial Fissure connects onto Wildstar, who takes out the Charm as well. And they're taking a lot of CC here. Can they look to finish them off? Ooh, Garen Ari is not going to get the kill, but Ari is going to be able to pick it up. And this is exactly what we were talking about. This is a one fight. Spirit Rush comes through. Charm connects onto this Maokai. That's going to be a 4th kill over to the side of NG Outlaws. And all of a sudden, that gold lead starting to shrink a little bit.
One sloppy play from the side of FE Aero, and all of a sudden another 2,000 gold in the pockets of NG Outlaws, and they're able to pick up a tower off this play. Maybe they're able to rotate to get some side lanes pushing here as well. I don't think they can get the second tower, but that's an objective bounty. That's a ton of just flat-out bounties. That's a lot of gold in their pockets now, shrinking that gold lead down. And again, I mean, just one little sloppy play from FE Aero. Kagrin flashing forward super aggressively there, doesn't have the flash to get out. Executive Chef tanking the tower, Kagrin tanking the tower right after that. The fully charged tower shot's doing a half of the carry's HPs. It's just a little messy there, a little over aggressive. You know, I'm no stranger to overheating myself, so
yeah,
a lot of sympathy there.
Objective bounty is now falling off here. We've got this Baron up on the map. 3,000 gold lead for FE Aero. Elder in 2.5 minutes, and Elder is such a scary objective to try and play for. Not sure if I'm red side I want to try and play for a 50-50. I think I maybe want to try and force a fight at this Baron. You know, maybe you keep the Camille in the side lane, maybe force that 1v1 and just kind of do a little song and dance up by this Baron. A lot of options.
Yeah, I mean, and I think they should just play the vision game around the Baron here and try to keep it really strong. I don't know where Kagrin is going right now. Taking Wolves is sort of a bit of a question mark move there, but I mean, you just have so much power, right? Like, just like walk in with your wallets, get the vision, like wait for them to come back in and try to make those plays again. Sammy might have to overextend for a ward. Blackout might have to overextend for a ward. Get those picks, start the Baron, win the game.
Fundamentals here, as Wildstar is going to hit up on this tower, is up 2 levels on JT, man, so got to be careful if you're on this Garen. Not looking like they're trying to start this Baron. We're just going to have this little dance for vision control on both sides.
Executive Chef getting some push here in the mid wave. Kagrin catching the top wave to try to get that pushing out. And it's just looking like a little bit of desynchronization here for the side of FE Aero. Just not quite able to get that Baron play set up exactly where they need it to be. I think Kagrin is probably like a little bit of gold. Yeah, I mean, he's sitting on 1,200 gold right now. Wants to get that Infinity Edge in order to make sure that whatever fight they get into next goes their way. Lil Del also sitting on a ton of gold. I think can complete their 3rd item as well, though. So it's going to, like, I think the next big team fight is probably going to be what determines the game.
Yeah. Hookshot going to connect there onto this Sejuani, who takes a lot of damage. Twisted Advance comes through. Glacial Fissure connects onto Camille. There's not enough damage to burst them out here, though. And Lil Del got hit up by that the Maokai R. Hookshot connects again. Sejuani going to fall here. And now Maokai in onto the Shinx, who has to flash away. This could be it for the side of Nefarious. Lil Del gets burnt. JT Man has to flash away. Hookshot still going to connect. Double kill for this Camille. And this top tower should fall. Objective bounty is now back on the table. And Elder is up in 25 seconds with no jungler alive for blue side.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Set up a good vision line, get those pink wards down, wait in the bushes for them to, they have to poke in at some point for the vision. They can't just not contest Elder. They just poke in a little bit, they overextend a little bit too far. You catch out one person, you just win that fight pretty easily after that.
Yeah, Elder is going to get started up here. Should be uncontested for the side of FE Aero. Maybe look to see if they use this Elder to go pick up the Baron, try and end the game. Or if they look to just kind of take this into a wave and just fight it. They might be looking for a Miracle Steal. Not going to come through. Smite does connect from Time to Clown. And that is Elder now on the table for this Camille, for this Shyvana, for this Vel'Koz. So many scary targets.
I think like some folks are like calling out that like there's just a little bit of desynchronization in terms of the like who's going for what play here and where people are for these different plays. I think Sammy was in mid lane for that play that happened down in the bot lane. If Sammy's there, it's a 4v4, which may end up going their way, but there's a Taric ult, there's Taric stuns, there's Taric heals, Taric shields. It just makes it so much harder for them to get a catch.
And now Lil Del into the Hextech ultimatum. Goodbye, Jinx. Dash in from the Shyvana, trying to get it onto the Sejuani, who is tanky, but it doesn't look like it. Sammy gonna buy them some time, but that's gonna be another 2 deaths coming through. Double kill for Shyvana, and this looks like this should just be the end of game number 2 and the end of our series. 5 members pushing. Vel'Koz or Camille gonna reset. It does have the teleport coming through, and they are gonna look to just end with this Elder buff potentially. This mid tower is going to fall. This inhibitor is going to fall. They still have the Elder. They still have full HP bars. They don't have ultimates though, which makes this a little tough. But with an Elder, you just don't care. They're going to try their best to save their season. First tower has already fallen. JT Man gets eviscerated by that Elder buff. Second tower falls quickly thereafter. Hook shot nearly does all of Ari's damage. Lil Del is now up. It is only 2 members left, but that tower is just getting shredded, and that is going to be the series 2-0 here for FE Aero.
My heart hurts for NG Outlaws, but my brain longs for sleep, and I'm sort of glad for the 2-0 here for the side of FE Aero, who are able to really solidify themselves in the playoff game here in Economy and put NG Outlaws in a tough spot. I think it is out of their hands whether or not they make playoffs at this point.
Yeah, I do think it's a little tough. Again, was very, very competitive. This Ari was very online. Lil Del was ahead in the early game on this Jinx, but this Camille was such a menace in those late game fights. And that gold, the ABC method from Time to Clown paid off dividends on this Shyvana. One of the best champs that you can do that with. That is going to be a 2-0 series win for FE Aero. And yeah, with
damage charts.
Yeah, I mean it is quite a lot from this Camille in particular. It's actually not going to let us show on that screen. That's okay. Very convincing stuff, and we wanna make sure that you are heading to bed at a reasonable time. We started here a little late, had a couple pauses.
Hey, happens.
So I don't think we're gonna do an interview just here tonight, but very strong stuff there from FE Aero. Very convincing 2-0 series win. You guys are in a great spot for playoffs, and I'm excited to see how that continues up for you guys. Kudos to you as you guys wrap up your season. And I think that is going to wrap us up here tonight here on the LBLCS broadcast. As always, I am Les Force. We'll hopefully catch you guys sometime here soon. Not sure when the next stream is going to be. Maybe early next week. Maybe this weekend. Who's to say? Keep your eyes peeled. Jack, go ahead and sign us off.
Well, everybody, as you guys know, it always, and I really mean always, takes 2 to tango. Have a great night.